Subvet Nation, let's ride.
Stand battle stations missile for WSRT. Spin up all missiles.
Welcome aboard. It is another Saturday night here on the Subvets. I'm Dave.
And I'm Eric.
And we are glad to be with you once again. It's been a long week. I've just been traveling all week, even though I really haven't gone much.
You got to stay off the road. You know, that poor car of yours. Did you change oil?
Yeah, we changed the oil before we went to Oklahoma, but now it's due again after having gotten back. So,
you know, I did learn something interesting, watching I've been getting into my mechanic mode again, watching a mechanic channel. So a lot of the newer cars, they advertise, and they've been doing this for some time, at least 10 years. If you buy our vehicle, we guarantee you don't have to change the oil for every 10,000 miles, with the oil changes. Well, that's not true. So even I was watching a channel recently, he was rebuilding a Toyota car engine because they changed the oil. There was a guy who was a doctor. He changed the oil on time at 10,000 miles. Boom, boom, boom. But it's a 2018, and the engine's already burn up.
Mm.
So even if you do all the recommended maintenance, that's probably not good. So the old, the metric when we were growing up was 3,000, but I think you can easily get away with 5,000. But getting on to the whole oil thing. I love working on cars, Dave. Did I tell you that? That's why I was in the Mouse House tooling, and you were at the MCC. So, that's the way it goes.
Well, I understand cars. At least I did. Who knows now? I mean, cars are so different now than when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, I understand them, but I don't work on them. My father was a professional mechanic and a race car driver, and he loved working on cars. But I just, that gene did not get passed down to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'd much rather work on electrical stuff. In fact, I had to rewire a light fixture last night.
Yeah, I enjoy doing that too. There you go. The wire pliers.
My wire pliers were missing. I couldn't find them anymore. And luckily, we just had a new.
Did you ever see the trick with the wires where you fold it at a 90 degree, both ends? Like if you had to splice a wire and you didn't have a wire nut, and you put shrink wrap on one end, and you bend it, and then you put the 90, and then there's a way that it'll pull together as a square knot. I'd have to look that up. That was super cool to watch it.
I don't think I've ever seen
shrink
that.
wrap. Yeah.
Anyway,
it's interesting.
We just opened a new hardware store, so I had to run down this morning because I got to do another light fixture down in the kitchen. And
well, I tell you, from growing up the way I did, everybody working, because that's when men used to hang out with men out in the front driveway, and they told their wives to go cook dinner. That really didn't work like that, but I like to think that way. Everybody, hung out and helped each other out, fixing cars, the water heater, a light fixture, like I said. It's just different times as we go forward. I mean, you do see some of the younger people doing that, but I have that training to think, and I have a lot of things that goes to the U.S. Navy. And like when you were an instructor, you picked up a lot of good skills running through there and the old Dam Neck and the old Swazi program.
Well, here's the problem though, Eric, and that is it's literally the same thing that's happened to FTBs. I mean, there's a reason why FTBs don't exist anymore, and it doesn't have anything to do with, who's the senior watch. It has to do with the fact that you don't need them anymore, because now if something breaks, you just swap out the whole freaking computer. You don't need to worry about the system mode and configuration logic or the DRL or anything like that. You just plug in a new computer.
Everything's hot swap, and that's why a lot of rates are going to the boat as E3.
And that's the same with cars now. I mean, you don't work on cars anymore per se. I mean, some people do, obviously, but if you have a major problem, we had a turbo go out on our Chevy a couple of years ago. Chevy we don't have anymore, and it was just part swap. That's all they could do. There was nobody that could actually work on the system. It was just 3,000.
Yeah, with these engines, that's where the advanced knowledge. Like that's what I would when I was still able to work on cars, which has been a good 10 years now. I could change an engine. I mean, I'm still swapping engine, and I could swap a transmission. But I mean, if I had to rebuild an engine like I saw when I was growing up. No, it's just those engines have gotten too sophisticated. You got to have the right knowledge and tools to get into that, rebuilding an engine.
Even to a degree in my time, and I was 98 mod 0 Trident 1, even in my time, everything was okay. You got to have if something goes wrong, you get a printout that gives you the page of the fault dictionary to go to, and it gives you a list of modules to replace. And the great thing about it was, though, that I'd guess 50% of the time, you'd exhaust the fault tree, and you would be into chasing ones and zeros through the system to try to figure out what was wrong. I remember doing that with Miter 7. Yeah. You literally remember the old, those things could be literally 15 feet long, and I'm not joking. Those logic pages that would pull out. Yeah. Yeah. We had a problem one time with temperature monitor power supply in upper level. And we spent probably 12 hours on the fault tree system, going through the fault dictionaries, the whole 9 years. And we knew literally from the instant it happened, we knew that this was not right. Because you could look at it and see that these fault trees they had us replacing modules in crap that had nothing to do with temperature monitor power supply. But these fault trees, and you had to follow them, and we couldn't convince the weapons officer to let us go the other way. So after about 12 hours of this, we finally exhausted the fault tree, and it turned out to be the power switch, 3-phase, 400 hertz cycle, 400 cycle power, right? And one of the switch contacts was grounded. So it was only getting 2 phases. And that was just enough of a drop in the voltage to cause the problem, which should have been the very first thing we looked at. But because we had these idiotic fault dictionaries, we had to chase that through the whole system and spend 12 hours doing that instead of useful things like cleaning. We could have been cleaning. We could have been
fielding.
Right.
Yeah.
But no, we're chasing this. So I don't know. I don't feel bad about not working on cars anymore. It's my mantra is I don't do anything to my car that I can't pay somebody else to do. So that's my.
So what did you had type 1, type 2, and type 3 modules? Like you had the back plane, the module itself.
Yeah.
And
it's been a long time.
It's great. But those
little 2x2 black modules.
And get this, you computer geek kiddies, there was maybe 3 gates. Remember that little history lesson you had in computer science class?
NOR gate,
maybe three, maybe 3 gates on a card.
And then I went back to Poseidon. So because I'm glad in a lot of ways. I'm still mad at myself for making the wrong decision to get out when I did. I should have stayed in, but at the same time, I'm kind of glad I didn't have to deal with Trident 2. Because why? I mean, at that point, it's like you're not even an FTB anymore. You're just a trained monkey.
So it wasn't even missile tech. Those combining rates, anyways. Yeah, you got to come at monkey thing. Oh, you get your monkeypox on, Dave. But no. It wasn't just the MTs that combine. I mean, everybody was combining rates. You saw that with the ET ratings. It's like, it got to the point where they were saying forward guy and aft guy. That's what they were going to get to. There was a lot of frustration. But now there's a lot of new rates that we're not even familiar with.
Do I understand this correctly? Now, it may be that I misunderstand this. They don't even use SINs anymore in navigation. Is that correct? I'm asking a missile tech about this.
No, that's a good question. I'm quite aware of SINs, but why that technology could have changed. That's what makes us great for the show because, we don't have an idea what we're talking about. They might not be using SINs anymore. That was one complicated piece of gear.
I was in a conversation with somebody a few weeks ago, and they mentioned the fact that SINs was either going away or had gone away or something to that effect. And it wasn't one of those conversations where I could just jump in right then and go, wait, run that back again. So look, if you know, DolphinDave at slipperyfish.com, I don't know what they would have replaced it with, except that it has these electronic navigational charts now. But it's still got to have some sort of Newtonian component, right?
Yeah, I do remember seeing the table. They got the glass tables where the nav charts, and they could just literally swipe them back and forth like you do on your iPad.
But it's still got to have an accelerometer system. It still has to have that Newtonian component. How else would you know how far you're going?
Right. Yeah, there has to be some kind of internal thing. So that was an amazing thing. That was a result out of MIT. They tested it on a bomber. You're saying I don't know. I actually saw a documentary on this. Was it Draper or was it a doctor? Or I'm trying to remember the guy that invented that thing. And they ran a bomber all the way across country and dropped in from the clouds. And they didn't think they were going to get into LA the plane was running just off it was like a gyro, like a SINS type thing. And next thing you know, it worked and it made its way onto submarines, which was needed. I mean, that was a critical piece of the FBM weapon system at the time. Yeah, you had to have that. That's why ET was considered part of the what they called SWAS, the Strategic Weapon Systems Electronics Program.
Navigation, which is what my father-in-law of blessed memory did. And anyway, it was been a long time. I mean, I tell people all the time, we joke about being submarine experts, but just so we're clear, the last time I set foot on USS Michigan was 1987, early 1987, like February. Mm-hmm. So I've been on some boats since then, but just as a tourist. And only one of those boats was actually in commission. So I got to see the Kentucky in 2018, but she was in the middle of refit and we were tolerated guests, but very little else. So I didn't get to
Texas and New Hampshire for me. And last one, New Hampshire was in like 2008 or 9 or something. But that's the last time I've seen one, other than museum, but like the one in Alabama. So
have you been to the one in Portland?
No.
So in Portland, they have the Blueback, which is
that was the one that So if you miss a sub. That's sort of like if you're an old nuke fast attack, Sturgeon class or old FBM, that'd be the closest thing. Even though that's got some stark differences too. That's a 50s boat, right?
Yeah. What bemused me about the Blueback, which is down in, like I said, it's down in Portland. Number one, it is kind of a pain in the butt to get to. If you ever go to Portland, you got to go to the OMSI, the Oregon Museum of Science and Industry, which is literally in the worst part of Portland. I mean, Portland's a crappy place anyway, but the worst of the worst crappy part of Portland, you got to go right through there to get to OMSI. Once you're at OMSI, it's pretty safe. I've never heard of anybody getting their car broken into or any problems there, but getting to it is not easy. But once you're there, it's actually a very good experience. The thing that bemuses me about the Blueback is we've got an article on the subvet face group called, quote, the 13 of the biggest submarines in the world.
Yep.
But the header picture is the Blueback, which is, by the way, a P-Girl class SS diesel boat. It's not even in the same. I mean, you could fit probably 3 of these inside of a T-hull. They're tiny. I just thought it was funny to put that on there.
So it makes you wonder who's writing. Yeah. So I saw that too. And it just made, who's writing these stories? They got to pick the picture. So they're obviously picking pictures for the larger submarines. But, for the header picture, let's find the smallest submarine I can find. We'll put that one up there.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense,
Well, I can tell you why, because they can easily get a picture of the Blueback. You just go down. You don't even have to pay to get into OMSI. You just walk down to the waterfront there and take a picture of it. But here's the 13. Are you ready? I'm assuming these are not in order because clearly they're wrong. But they have number 1 is the Ohio class. So that's the number 1 largest. Number 2 is Delta 4, which I got to be honest with you. The Delta 4 that's the Soviet boat from the late Cold War. The Delta 4 is hideously ugly, and yet at the same time, fascinatingly beautiful. I don't know how else to put it. I've seen pictures of the Delta 4 with the crew on the turtleback at attention or whatever. And, on the Ohios, when we would stand on the missile deck, there was 15 feet of freeboard over there. And I felt like we were, waving from the top of the Sears Tower. These guys on top of these Delta 4, they're like, God bless America up there.
It's huge. Yeah. I mean, the Soviets built some big boats back in the
Number 3 is the Borai class. This is the brand new Russian boat intended to replace the Delta 3s and the Typhoons. They're going to keep, I guess, the Delta 4s. Number 4 is the Typhoon, which is the biggest submarine ever freaking built, right? I don't know why it's number 4, but they've got it listed, as number 4. Which is
I almost think this article was AI generated, kind of like you see a lot of YouTube videos like that. Mm-hmm. They're just AI generated with the computer voices on them and stuff. This article kind of strikes that way, but continue on.
Number 5, the Akula 2 class, which is a Russian fast attack, 574 feet long. So they're about as long as a T-hull, right? T-hull's about 580.
Yeah, and they were a pretty vicious boat too at his time.
Yeah, let me see. That doesn't say, but I remember the T-hull being that. That's number 5. Number 6 is the British Astute class, which are now. This says SSBN. Is that right? I thought they were fast boats.
No, they're fast boats. They got it wrong. The thing I like about the Astute class is got that dip near the sail.
Yeah.
So it's kind of got those beauty lines like a Mustang does. It's sporty looking.
See, now I got to know, because now I feel like I'm Astute class's latest SSN, right?
Yeah, that's like their Virginia class.
That's weird. These guys,
which they say is better than ours.
Do they say that? Because I'm not sure I believe it.
Yeah.
Number 7, Eric, is the Baleo class from World War II, which they have. There's a sentence in this article that reads, and I'm going to quote the sentence to you. You ready? Mm-hmm. Quote, the Baleo class boats were very similar to the preceding Tangaroa class. At this point, you can throw the article out, because this article.
Well, yeah, we could throw it out, but hold on a second, though, Dave. So you get generational gap. We got to look at it from World War II or coming into War II. The fleet boats come out. So say you're like a chief and you trained, I don't know, World War I or just post World War I. You were on those old S boats, the crazy small ones, and then you get this big fleet boat. Would that felt like a Trident to them?
Yes. Yes. I've talked to some of those guys that were like that. And it's very similar to the way that the 640, 616, 637 guys looked at the T-hulls and gave us crap because, that's not even a real submarine. Well, yeah, it is. But, the point is that technology moves forward. Here's what amazes me, though, Eric. Mm-hmm. In 1985, we went to Pearl Harbor. We pulled into Pearl Harbor for torpedo qualification. And because they didn't need weaponeers for that, and I had not moved on to some of that other stuff, they left a bunch of us weapons folks ashore for a week, which was great. So we got a week's free leave in Honolulu, which was fantastic. But 3 of us, myself, Leroy Smith, and Hal Skoog, went and took the tour of the Bowfin. The USS Bowfin is a World War II boat there in Pearl Harbor, still there. And it's like a 45-minute walking tour. They give you this little phone kind of thing that has the recording of the tour. You are looking at the forward torpedo tubes, blah, blah, blah. Right? So you're supposed to walk through this thing in 45 minutes. We were on that boat for almost 6 hours. And when we were done, if we'd have had fuel in the bunkers, we could have taken it to sea. Because while the technology changes, while the way we do things changes, what we actually do doesn't change. It all still does the same thing. And it was, it's just like Poseidon and Trident. It does the same thing. It just does it with different technology. So, those guys would have looked at those boats quite fantastically, I would imagine, as those fleet boats. Man, what? Only 4 or 5, only half the crew has the hot rack. What's up with that?
This is great.
Air conditioning. What's this?
Yeah.
All right.
Insane. Yeah.
Number 8 is the Seawolf class, which I think are huge, but Number 9 is the North Korean Gorae class. It's one of the biggest.
Especially the Jimmy Carter.
They say it's
which class is that?
The Gore, G-O-R-A. No, North Korea. This is a Type 209 boat. It's
what?
And they say it has a display. This cannot be right. They're claiming this is a nuclear powered submarine with 18,200 tons pressurized water reactor. It's not this. I apologize for even bringing this article to the table. We should delete this article from the page because it's completely total crap, man.
That's what. But you know that's what makes it funny.
It's so wrong. It's like watching a submarine movie with a bunch of submariners. It's like, what?
Yeah. So, well, I mean, so that gets onto the ridiculous I wanted to get to. So there was an article. I did not post it. I saw it, but I just didn't want to get into the politics on the page with all the comments. But there was a Twitter feed put out from the Chinese basically saying, how's Pelosi going to get in there? She's too chicken to come in by her plane. She's probably coming in by submarine. Something to that effect. So, so you start thinking, you're like, so leave the whole politics thing out of it. The lady's 82 years old. So can you imagine the logistics and planning that would have to go into that? And then why would you want to even do it in the first place? It doesn't matter if it's a politician you support or not. Why would you want to do that? If you have to sneak somebody in that bad, I mean, you're obviously causing 1996, you would remember the Taiwan Straits.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we had a crisis then too with China. I mean, that's all we're doing is causing problems. If we got to sneak in people by submarines, 82 years. So I'm thinking, well, maybe they still got that elevator that they let Kennedy down on that 41 boat, man.
I was going to bring that up. I mean, I'd like to be that guy. I mean, you're the president of the United States and you can't even climb down the ladder. You got to, and he was young. He was in his 40s. And
he had back problems or all kinds of medical problems that came out later. So.
I remember this. I remember in my day grabbing that ladder down the missile compartment LET and basically just sliding down to the bottom. You had to hold on just in case, but it was a quick descent to the bottom.
Didn't get caught by the chief of the boat when he hit the bottom.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. We went and saw the Kentucky a couple of years ago. What I noted very quickly was these hatches, A, are much smaller than they used to be, and B, my knees don't bend like they used to. So this is not.
Yeah, they had to change the specification on the boats.
I know that boat is tiny compared to what Michigan was in my day. So it was quite an adventure getting down there. I'm gonna post and leave a comment about this is the worst and dumbest article ever written.
Yeah, I definitely need to do that. I mean, if we don't delete it right out, but it is funny we discussed it. So Skip Charles, he posted an article about reenlistment bonuses. Did you get a look at that?
No, I did not.
So, I mean, some of the craziness you see. So, well, I guess it's not too out of control. I mean, for like nukes, it was 15 grand. But actually, it was more than that. But nuclear power machinist makes 38,000. Well, any of the nuke fields, it looks like they're all 30, and that sounds about right. Machinist mate, 10,000 for that. You got, O2 generators. There's a complication. You got to go to a little bit of school for that. Information systems technician, submarines is 15 grand. So I got to thinking, working in computer systems myself, they're running an internal server. So they got like internal internet when they're out to sea. So I can imagine, and plus you've got to have SQL for all the databases. So I can imagine that could be fairly complicated. But the thing that alarmed me, and it kind of goes along with what we were talking about, how we start out with, talking about the cars plug and play. Missile technicians, re-enlistment bonus, or is this, enlistment bonus, 5 grand for a missile tech. It's like their throwaway rate. Like, we didn't get anything when I was in, but.
Really? I got 6,500 to re-enlist in 86.
No, I re-enlisted. They re-enlisted for God and Glory or country. God, Glory, and Country.
I looked at it as I re-enlisted to get a Volkswagen Scirocco. So, which is what I spent it on. That was
a pretty sweet car back then.
It was. That's exciting. Not as sweet as my coffee cup, though, is it? Have you seen my coffee cup, Eric?
Yeah, that's a nice coffee cup. And I've been coming up with some sweet new designs like that. I don't know if we have the sharing because I do have the page up right there. I can bring it because I wanted to show you a couple things I got on here real quick. So yeah, we're gonna share the screen here. You got it disabled. But anyways, I've been throwing up some different designs, and it takes a little bit of time to design these cups because you got to go. I got several other programs that I've had to pay for and learn to enhance the picture for one, to make it just kind of get a pop to it, and then you got to get the graphics centered and placed just right on the cup. So a lot of these cups, So let me see if I can pull one up real quick.
I like mine.
So I don't know if you can you see that?
I can see that.
I'm gonna see if I popped up the right one. Did you just see the Ohio pop up on there?
The Ohio's
okay. There. So so you can get to the merch on the sub. And I'm even talking about it. So we got some merchandise up, not a lot, but I am surprisingly selling merchandise for what little I got. Like I said, it takes time to design these things. You want to put out a good product. People are going to spend some money on this stuff to help support the channel. But here's the Ohio, and you can see how it's got a nice pop to it, and it's got the Subvet logo. So the one I did with this one, the reason I come up with this one, if you circle around, there's no rate or rank on this one. So we have a lot of people on the channel that are simply just like shipyard workers or retired shipyard workers or somebody that, like we say, like their dad or, might have been on submarines or on the boats or, family and whatnot and wives and stuff like that. And maybe just general collectors. I'm starting to get quite a few people because that was the whole idea of starting the Subvet, was reaching out to those people that have no idea about the submarine community and bringing them in and showing into them just not the actual classified technology. Obviously, it's just silent service reason, but let them learn a little bit about the submariners, us in the boat. So here's a collector series that I'm coming up with, where you can just simply purchase the cup and you can collect these or use them, and you don't have to worry about, well, do I got to be qualified to even own this cup? Well, no, not in this case. I'm saying you're not. This is just a nice collector's cup, and I've got some fast attacks up here too. Let me pull up another one to see if I can get back to that series. So I wanted to pull. So this one was the last one I just designed. I really like this one. This one was the Bremerton. So there was 2 patches for this that I found. So like you swing around to see if it updates. So this one's similar to that. And then on the other one, I really like this patch, Bad Fish. What do you think of that patch right there, Dave?
Yeah, they like that name, Bad Fish.
So you probably knew about that one. So this cup, like I said, is also available. If you were a crewman on that boat, you can also put your rate and rank on it. So I've got 2 different versions. I'm going to have separate categories for people who just want to collect, the boats, so they can say, because they like submarines, and then other ones individually for the, if you served on that boat. So I'm going to make both of those available as far as the cups. And then, of course, I'm going to get into some more shirts and hats I'm having problems with, because the embroidery is just not working out because it doesn't like the detail, but I'm going to figure out a way to get around that. But yeah, if you can go on the subvet.com and go to the merch link, this will bring you right to the Zazzle page. Look through some of our merch and see if there's some you might like. Also, like I said, you can put this design on another, like it has the collector's mug. I really like that mug, like the beer stein type thing. And you can also got the regular cup. So you can transfer these designs pretty easily. And I've left a lot of the customization tools so you can change or add some things too. And if you need any help, or if you have a boat that you have in mind that you would like me to design, because obviously it's going to take me quite a bit of time to get through a lot of these boats, you email me at eric@thesubvet.com or just direct message me on Facebook. That's fine. Eric Ryle. I think there's only one other Eric Ryle on Facebook. And you hit me up. It'll have my Subvet logo in, and I'll get to work on a a cut for you as well, and some merch for your boat as well. Anyways, that's enough on that. Moving on.
I'd say direct message me on Facebook, but if you were friends with me on Facebook, particularly if you were in the group, you probably aren't anymore. My account got nuked, and so I'm in the process of rebuilding it. But it's kind of like, well,
right.
We'll get through it, I guess. We'll figure it out, and eventually I'll have a new account, or I'll get my old account back. And Judd was telling me last week that he thinks it'll come back, but I don't know when. And by the way, I didn't get to meet with him. He was up here all week, and he got here on the one day that I needed to be somewhere else. So my wife and I were celebrating.
So he wasn't able to get,
right. So we didn't get to connect. I did see he went to Spiro's Pizza, which is pretty popular around here, but
right.
There you go. So anyway, sorry, Judd, I missed you, and maybe next time you get up this way. Meanwhile, other geopolitical stuff that's happening. Of course, did Nancy Pelosi go to Taiwan? Do we know? I know you were concerned about whether or not she was really going or not. Did she actually go?
She went.
I
I know you've been traveling. So she went. Yep. She jammed in there.
I heard she was going in by submarine. The Chinese were saying she was coming in by submarine.
Yeah. So they did post another article with a fact check, because you need a fact check. Nancy Pelosi did not go in by submarine. Fact checked. So, got to make sure the facts are straight. So she went in by plane, and she collected some rewards. I know a lot of the people. I don't know the actual, like the people's people on the ground, like, our neighborhood where we live, you know how your neighbors, you talk about how, the state of your country or your state or wherever you live. But it made it look like there was a lot of people that were not happy with her popping in there like that, causing the extra stress, because of potential war. And of course, they started doing live firing all over around Taiwan. Some jets flew over to the line. It just causing all kinds of trouble. And it still doesn't mean that we might not end up in a war. And it almost makes me think that they want a war to cover up for this horrible economy, which is, you can't put that all on Biden. I mean, this is something that has been cooking since, what was it, 1971? When we took us off the gold standard. It's just been,
do you think the economy is bad? I was watching the news today, and they were telling me that the economy is great. Job, new hirings are up. Gas prices are down. Did you know that? Gas prices are down like 90 cents.
Printed $2 trillion in the last year alone.
Gas prices.
But the economy's doing great, Dave.
My wife says to me, "Why are gas prices coming down?" I said, "Because the midterms are coming up. Why do you think they're coming down?"
Yeah.
As soon as the midterms are over, doesn't matter who wins. The gas prices will go up because, if the Republicans win, the Democrats will blame the Republicans, and if they go up, if the Republicans win, they'll blame the Democrats.
And the reason I quit following politics is when Republicans get it. I mean, things get worse, and they don't do anything about it anyway. So it doesn't really matter to follow this mess.
This is an amazing part to me, and maybe I'm just becoming cynical about this whole thing. But what exactly is your plan to do anything about it? I mean, this isn't the time or the place to do it. You should have done it. Patty Murray's running for her 30th term up here in the Senate, and it's like, I know it's not 30. She's been there for 30 years, but anyway, she's running for this thing, and it's like, now I'm going to go to Washington, D.C. and fix all these problems.
Mm-hmm.
What have you been doing for the last 30 years?
Mm-hmm.
We got a state Senate race here, a state Senate race. Does anybody even know how many Washington state senators there are?
I just want to go back.
Anybody know? Anybody?
Probably not. There's two for each state, but
no.
There's probably five.
State legislature, the state house here in Olympia.
Oh, right? State senate. Well, wow, that would be a state by state case. How many senators they probably?
Do you know how much? Do you know how much a state senator gets paid every year in the state of Washington? I'll tell you this: we're the 10th highest paid state legislators in the country. 10th, and it's a part-time job. They make $52,766 per year plus benefits and per diem. Okay.
And And they all sneak it up and pass it, at the state or at the federal level.
Right.
They're always sneaking raises in.
Well,
and
here's the cool thing about this, Eric. We have one state Senate district over here where I live in Western Washington. Mm-hmm. Nobody knows where it is. Nobody cares, right? I mean, literally nobody cares. The two candidates who are running for the state Senate seat have raised almost $1 million, raised and spent almost $1 million to run for a seat that pays $52,000 a year. And I'm supposed to believe that both of them are going to go to Olympia. Either one of them are going to go to Olympia and represent us, the people of their district. Told one of them the other day, you're full of crap. But anyway, I've become cynical about politics, and I've become cynical about this whole thing with Nancy Pelosi. And I think I said this last week. It's one of my mantras. She didn't need to go to Taiwan. She went to Taiwan because she wanted attention, because she's an attention whore, and attention whores are going to attention whore. It's what they do. And I don't care if you're talking.
And it's not to say it's not. Yeah, it could have been a Republican doing the same thing. Yeah. I mean, we've seen similar situations in the past, they do dumb things like lie about WMDs to get us into a war with Iraq, which I'm still confused about. Anyways, man, we're getting off topic here.
You like that stuff. Well, in order to defend Taiwan, which we are going to have to do, we're going to have to defend Taiwan. The Navy is going to have to be the point defense because there is no Army there. There's no Marines there for us. Once the shooting war starts, you're probably not going to be able to get them in, which means that you're dealing with the Navy and the Air Force is really your only options here for dealing with this, which means you need submarines because, let's face it, submarines are sneaky. They can get in and cause damage and do things. And, of course, we're down one because Connecticut's not going to be available.
All right.
But we'll see what happens. I mean, Ohio's in dry dock out here. She's undergoing her refit, So you get into war with China, so immediately China's going to start supporting Russia. And then, because there's things that they're not supplying Russia as far as helping them out with, supplying them with weapons or weapons parts to aid them with the war front in Ukraine. And is any of our European NATO partners going to come help us on this side of the pond if we start a shooting war in China? That's just not going to happen. No. So is China going to come in? And I like to get in conspiracies because you hear about Chinese armies already in Mexico and Canada. May or may not. Who knows? That it's irrelevant. But they don't even. Alex Jones, did you? Oh yeah. He was having some fun on there. Yeah. I think he lost his lawsuit. So yes, he did. Because that's another thing I don't even want to get into. I don't even want to bring up the name of that school. But anyways, why would China even need to come and invade? They got everything they need over there to take Taiwan. And if we're going to keep lugging all our materials and men over there 2,000 miles to play in that little sandbox over there, they're just going to dominate. Maybe not at first, but at long term, we can just wait for I want to bring an aircraft carrier into the streets. Well, that aircraft carrier is sunk. Want to bring in another one? You're just pessimistic about this, aren't you? Yeah. Well, the weapons of war. So then it comes to and this is just me from a layman's type thing. Then it comes into a thing. Do you break out your super secret stuff, which I have no idea what it is, but what's the F-17 stealth fighter or the stealth bomber like we saw in the Persian Gulf War? What are those secret weapons we would have to break out and dominate? And on top of that, the entire manufacturing base is in China. So if we go out war with it and it stayed non-nuclear and we don't break out secret weapons, I don't see how we can win it. That's just Eric. That's pessimistic. I don't share your pessimism. I am concerned about the whole manufacturing thing, and I think that's what's going to hurt Americans in general. You think the supply chain has been messed up now? Imagine going to war with China over Taiwan and you can't get it. It's not even a question of delayed ships. You're not going to be able to get them. Now, the question is, and this is something that I argue with people about all the time, well, if we have a nuclear war, we're just going to go back to the Stone Age. Do you really think that all of human history, all of the accumulation of human knowledge is going to be forgotten? Of course not. We still know how to build these plants. Yeah. The question is, will we, can we, are we willing to make I hate this phrase, but are we willing to make a national sacrifice like we did during World War II to do that? Now, if the answer to that is yes, how much time does it take? Do we have the parts we need? Can we make the parts we need? I think we can.
Well, staying non-nuclear, I mean, because you brought up with World War II, I mean, so what enabled us to dominate World War II as far as the European theater is the fact that, we were building weapons for England at the time, but we converted that entire auto industry into building airplanes and tanks because, you know why? Because we had a crap ton. The largest iron ore deposit in the world was up there around the Great Lakes. And that's gone. I heard it's pretty exhausted now. And we don't have the manufacturing base to go start mining it again anyway. So,
but how long would it take us to reboot that? That's the question.
That's the biggest question. You stay non-nuclear, do you reboot for a war economy?
And I don't know. See, that's the thing. I don't know what the political will. I don't have a good read on the American people right now for our political will to do that. Because if we really wanted to screw China, I mean, this is the thing. If we really wanted to screw China right now, that's what we'd be doing anyway. We'd be moving manufacturing here. The companies that do the manufacturing don't want to do that because the labor is more expensive. The issues that they have to deal with here that they don't have to deal with there. It's amazing it's amazing how cheaply you can build stuff when you use slave labor. Just ask Nike. Yeah. But
Apple.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's probably 20 others we can mention.
Right. But as far as the actual combat goes, I'm not convinced that China is that overwhelming. I'm just, they don't have, by most open source intelligence folks, they do not have the heavy lift capacity that you need to pull off an amphibious invasion. So how do you do this if you're China? It's all well and good to rattle your sword and say, we're coming to get you. But if you don't come to get us, what have you really accomplished? And tactically, they're going to face the same problems we face, which is how do you rearm after this is the thing that concerns me about the SSGNs, Michigan. All right, you fire off 150 Tomahawks. Now what? How do you get more? Do you get more? And those kind of questions, I don't necessarily have the answer to because I didn't go to the Naval War College, but this is why most people think that modern warfare is going to not last long, which is, of course, what they thought in 1914 and 1939. And in 1861, they all thought, well, this is going to be quick, easy, decisive. And it never is. So thinking long term, how do we rearm these submarines that will probably be on the pointy end of the stick of this whole thing?
So, I mean, we can have a lot of fun debate, and we are having fun right now because, and you're right, we didn't go to Navy War College, but now that we're, kids are getting ready to go back to school. July is always difficult to book guests because we haven't had, a lot of guests here lately because everybody's on vacation during July. But now, I mean, we have some connections that, I'm going to find some people that have been potentially to War College, some people smarter than me anyways. I don't know about Dave. That, we can talk further about this situation with the channel going forward because it's interesting, not just to get into the whole war thing, but how every country has focused on building their submarine fleets. I mean, every small countries that you would never know they even had a navy, much less one. So they're getting in on the submarine action, and the French and the Germans are all too happy to sell them as many as they want. Well, and India's in on,
India is buying nuke boats from the Russians. So,
right.
Which, of course, now we could go back into the Australian thing. Are they going to buy boats? Are they going to not buy boats? Who knows where this whole thing is going to end up? But I know this, Eric. I don't care when this war kicks off in Taiwan, and I'm convinced that it will. From the United States Navy standpoint, submarines are going to be the point unit. Submarines and fighter aircraft are going to be the points. So it's going to be
fifth generation drone technology, big time. So drone in the air and drones underwater.
Yeah.
Drone stuff that me and you don't even know about. I mean, there's the stuff I post on the Subvet group, but I'm sure there's stuff that we don't even, with capabilities there. Who knows?
I'm getting ready to talk next week. I do a show on radio in Florida every Tuesday morning about history. And we're going to talk about the Battle of Savo Island. And you talk about these unknowns that you go into combat with. And everybody has their preconceptions about what's going to happen. And this is really the first time the two surface fleets meet during the Second World War. And the United States was not ready. And we discovered very quickly that the Japanese had that number one, they had trained for night tactics, which we had not because we were depending on radar, which didn't work. And they had better binoculars. And they had this thing called the Long Lance torpedo that we didn't know about. And 5 cruisers and 1,000 lives later, we learned a really hard lesson. And this is the point that I'm trying to make about Taiwan. Who knows what we're going to learn in the first contact? And as Patton said, no plan survives first contact with the enemy. We're going to learn some lessons, and those lessons are going to be very bloody. And that's what concerns me, is that it's been a long, long, long time since Americans have seen combat casualties as anything other than a political weapon used in a newspaper. Oh, here's how many people George Bush killed this week. Here's how many people, Lyndon Johnson killed that week. This is going to be different than that, folks. We are going to lose thousands of people. And it's not going to be very long. And you need to be prepared to accept that and understand that this is what we're headed to. And I don't think anybody's thinking in those terms. I really don't.
And throw into that, I mean, we got 2 months left in the recruiting for the year, and they're not even halfway to their goal.
Why would you join the military right now?
Yeah. But that goes to say too. I've even ran into some videos and stuff with veterans talking. There's vets that are mad that because they thought they were going in doing the right thing after the 2001 attacks, and then they look at this 15, 20 years later, and they're like, I was just using it as a tool. There was no WMDs. There was no reason for us to go on Iraq and kill what was it, 1.5 million Iraqis, And then Saddam Hussein, who we put in there, he's all confused for a while. Hey, why is everybody picking on me? I don't get it. I mean, it was just a complete. I said, you got to get out of the politics, because that's where they want you to go. Us as Americans, they want us to pick sides and be divided. So if they're going to get us into a war, and once we're in it, you're going to have to fight for the survival of the country. And then, and like you said, with the initial casualties, we're really going to have to.
I am far more concerned. I am far more concerned with our focus on war fighting versus social issues. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be aware of social issues, or we should be. I'm not making any comment about it at all. But I know this, okay? And again, I'm a historian and I love the Navy. And my favorite warship in all of history is the USS South Dakota, the original battleship BB-57, which was commanded by a guy by the name of Thomas Gatch. And Gatch was a lawyer. He was not a line officer by trade. He became a line officer as a lawyer and rose to command the battleship South Dakota, okay? And his policy was, I don't care if the brass is shiny. If my crew can't shoot straight, they're not doing what we need to be doing right now. And off the coast of Guadalcanal, over the course of several weeks, the South Dakota proved herself in combat time and time again, because he focused on war fighting, not looking good. And sometimes I wonder if we focus too much on appearances and not enough on combat.
You brought up a good point. I mean, this situation between Ukraine and Taiwan, definitely, it is so serious to me that, you're right. I'm not even reading or taking interest in the social issues and I think those are just political tools they use to divide us too. But I haven't even been thinking about it. That's how serious.
But the problem is the military is taking an interest in those things. The military is having training about
so when you got
what pronouns to use.
Right.
As
Yeah.
if
When you got
somehow or
that going,
another-
how are you going to be functional in an open? An interest into a major shooting war right off the bat, and our military. You're right with the social issues, and that's what they've been focused on instead of shooting straight like the South Dakota. You're right.
What's going to happen when we capture some enemy soldiers and we've got them surrounded, and we say we're here to capture he, she, you, they, butterfly, whatever. What are your preferred pronouns?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to.
Yeah, it's not going to work. This is what concerns me, and the fact that I know, and I don't have any special knowledge. You know this, I know this, all of our listeners know this. This is not going to be a steamroll. It's not going to be like Iraq, Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan. None of that. This is going to be deadly beyond anything we have seen in 5 generations. Mm-hmm. And the American people had better put their big boy panties on, because this is going to be bloody.
Did you read the book, The Fourth Turning?
No.
Yeah, neither did I, but I watched a video on it. But no, we're in that fourth turning. So, it talks about the 4 generations of the 4 seasons. So, like my generation, we were like equal to what the 20s. Everybody was partying, have a good time. And now we're getting into the generation that's manning our ships and manning our military. That's going to be the World War II generation. And are we going to stand up to the call, of what we're getting ready to get into?
I hope these boys and girls are up to it, but we'll see what happens. I'm Dave. You can get me at DolphinDave at slipperyfish.com, or my website is plausiblylive.com or the DaveBowmanShow.com. It's the same website, just has 2 URLs.
Great show, and I recommend you go by there and check that out. And check him out with this. He does a weekly show, which he made with Bill Mick Live out of Melbourne, Florida. It's WMMB, I believe it is. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, he's on there on Tuesdays, and you'll get to learn the historian side of Dave Bowman, which is really cool. But I'm Eric at thesubvet.com. And you can find us, which you probably found us through our Facebook group, Facebook.com/group/thesubvet, and Twitter/thesubvet as well. And go to the website, thesubvet.com, and I'll get you all those links and get us to our great merchandise. And Dave, show them that cup again. You got to hit your voice. You got to say something. They can't see it.
It's just full of coffee. It doesn't have any more coffee left.
Get yourself a great cup.
I'm a simple guy.
Yeah, there you go. Got the one. Yeah, get the simple. There's T-shirts up there. See if there's something you like, and like we just said before, hit me up if you want a better design or you want to design picture.
There you go.
That's all I got.
And on that note, we are
Subvets.